All right. I forgot to set up one of the streams, so bear with me if you're tuning in, and I will have that set up in just a moment, and then we'll be ready and raring to go. Okay. Looks like we are ready to go now. Apologies if you're tuning in and that just took a minute. I realized I forgot to set one of the streams up, so now we are good to go though. So as you tune in, make sure to drop a name in the comments. Drop a name in the comments of somebody that needs to hear the message that we deliver on this show. Somebody that needs to hear the message of those little things, those little tips and tricks that you can do, that you can work on in order to reach new levels in your career in sport. Because that's what we're all about here. If you haven't tuned in before, if you have tuned in before, you know the drill, you know the deal. We are here to help you with all those little things that you need in order to reach the next level in your career in sport. We are here to help you with all those little tips, tricks, thoughts, concerns, anything that you've got that is going to help you reach new levels in your career. For any of you on this stream over here, if you're seeing the bed in the background, my dad is visiting right now. So I have a bed set up in my office, and that is why there is a bed in the background. Usually that wouldn't be there, but well, you got family visiting, you do different things. So let's get into the show now. And today we're going to be talking about dealing with competition nerves. So let's get into it here in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're going to be talking about dealing with competition nerves. So the reason I wanted to bring this topic to you today is because, again, like I said before we started the recording, the goal of this show is to help athletes reach new levels and in their careers in sport. And obviously, if you're going to do that, you need to be able to not only compete, but compete at high levels, and not only compete at high levels, but compete well each and every time you step into competition. And in order to do that, you need to be able to deal with nerves. So many athletes struggle with nerves when they compete. They train at a super high level. They are, always improving, always gaining new skill sets. But when it comes to competition, something happens and they freeze. If you're here now and you felt that happen to you before, you felt that, you weren't able to tap into your potential while you compete, drop me a comment and let me know that you felt that before. Let me know that that resonates with you, because I guarantee if it resonates with you, it resonates with other people as well. You are not the only one to freeze up while you compete. You are not the only one to not tap into your full skill set while you compete. So today we're going to get into why that happens, and we're going to get into what you can do to fix it. So when it comes to nerves when you compete, the goal is not to make them go away. The goal is not to magically come into each and every competition feeling perfect. The goal is not to magically come into each and every competition feeling supremely confident and never feeling a nerve, because like so many other things that we talk about on this show, that's just not real life. That's not the way that works. You're not going to magically never feel nervous again. You're not going to magically feel supremely confident every time you step into competition. That's just not going to happen. But instead of letting nerves break you, what I want to get into today is how you can let nerves serve you. So when you feel that fear, when you feel those nerves, plain and simple, that's a survival instinct that is programmed into your brain to protect you. That's a survival instinct programmed into your brain to protect you. Now, this is what's going to tell you not to compete. So when you get into, the day of the competition, leading up very close, and you start feeling that fear of like, what if this goes really badly for me? Maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should pull out of the fight. Maybe, and if you are able to feel those nerves and learn how to use them instead of how to let them break you, this is going to be the main difference for you in competition. And I see a comment coming in saying key is to enjoy the nerves. Exactly. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. The key is to enjoy the nerves. The key is to learn how to use the nerves instead of letting them break you. So when you feel that fear, it is a survival instinct programmed to protect you. So in order to understand that, now let's talk about how to use that. So number one, what you need to do is you need to analyze where that fear is coming from. Obviously, if you're stepping into a fight, I would hope you've trained for the fight. I would hope that you've, done some work in order to get yourself ready, in order to make sure that you're prepared. So why are you still feeling that fear? Why are you still feeling those nerves? And if you can analyze that and you can come up with the reason that you're feeling those nerves, now you can start to counteract it. So you can start to counteract the nerves, because let's say you're sitting there on the day of the fight and you're going, man, I'm feeling all these nerves. I'm feeling all this fear. I'm not sure that I can do this. I'm not sure that I want to do this. Maybe I should pull out. All of those thoughts kind of start racing through your brain. And I'm sorry, I don't care who you are. Even if you're able to control them, everybody has those thoughts come through at some point. Nobody goes through and magically just feels perfect all the time. That's not how life works. So when those thoughts come through, what is the difference between those who are able to use the fear and those who let the fear break them? If you can understand it, Let's say you're feeling it and you're going, okay, why am I feeling this fear? Well, I'm about to step into a fight. And if I step into a fight and it doesn't go well, that can have some negative consequences for me. Okay, well, what are those negative consequences that it can have? Injury, pain, humiliation, if, it really goes badly for you, whatever it might be. And then you can start to understand that regardless of the worst case scenario, let's say exactly what you're thinking happens, the sun is still going to come up tomorrow and you are still going to be okay. And when you can get that through your head, that can take away some of that fear. Obviously, I know when you train hard for a fight, when you train hard for any competition, it's never a good thing to lose. You never want to go into that and you never want to lose, obviously. But if you can understand that even if I go into this and even if I lose, my family's still going to love me. My friends are still going to respect me. My teammates are still going to have my back. Like, all of those things are still going to ring true. Now you can get rid of a little bit of that fear, because worst case scenario, you're still going to be okay. Beyond that, you can start to reinforce your preparation. You can start to reinforce the fact that you're feeling this fear because you're stepping into something uncomfortable, but you're stepping into something uncomfortable for a reason. And if you're stepping into something uncomfortable for a reason, so let's say, again, you're stepping into a fight, you're stepping into a high-level competition, you're stepping into something uncomfortable to get something better out of it. The upside of that competition is moving up to higher levels, moving up to, better competition, moving up to, achieving the dreams that you set out for in your career. And every step you take along the way of that journey is stepping you closer to achieving that dream, stepping you closer to achieving those goals. And so when you're feeling that fear, when you're feeling those nerves the day of the competition, and you can sit back and you can realize, this situation I'm putting myself into is putting me a step closer towards the goals I have for my career. It's putting me a step closer towards the dreams I have for my life. Now you can start to understand that fear is not simply because something bad might happen. That fear is because you're stepping into a new level of yourself. You're stepping into something uncomfortable that something great is going to come out of when you're successful. And if you can learn to switch that mindset, and you can learn to use this to fuel your performance, then you can continue to improve every time you step into competition. Because when you feel the fear and you feel the doubt, you can learn to counteract it. And as a result of counteracting it, you can learn to use it to fuel yourself instead of letting it break you. So now what I want to get into is I want to talk about techniques you can use to counteract the fear as well. Techniques you can use when you're in competition day and you're feeling the nerves, you're feeling the fear, you're feeling the pressure. Techniques you can use in order to counteract the fear in order to help yourself get over it, help yourself get past it, and help yourself step into competition supremely confident and ready to perform at your best. So the number one thing that you can use for yourself is some form of meditation. A lot of this stuff comes down to mindset work. And the number one thing that I've found that helps me and that I found has helped a number of athletes that I work with is meditation. And this can be in whatever way that resonates with you, whatever way that, you feel it works best for you. But one of my favorite ones is, again, just simple deep breathing exercises. So sit by yourself in a quiet, calm area and just focus on your breath. Eyes are closed. You focus on breathing as much air into the lungs as possible, as much air out of the lungs as possible, and just making sure that you're keeping your heart rate low, you're keeping your mind centered, and you're focusing in on what you need to do on the day of the competition. One of my other favorite ones as well is I just said meditation. That's not the second one I was going to say. One of my other favorite ones as well is self-affirmations. This is something I use every single morning. I do it in a journal. You can do it in a journal, in the mirror, any way that works for you as well. But a lot of the time when you're feeling fear or nerves, a lot of the time it comes from self-doubt as well. Wondering, am I really good enough to be here? Do I really deserve to, be on the stage that I'm on? What happens if I fail? What happens if things go wrong? And all of these self-doubt questions start creeping in. Being able to counteract them with self-affirmation is a great tool that I've found has really helped me as I continue to grow a business, but has also really helped many athletes that I work with as they continue to make their way through their careers. So plain and simple, finding the areas that you're feeling the nerves in, finding the areas in which you feel the self-doubt, and just reaffirming what you know to be true about yourself. Even if you don't feel it necessarily every day, reaffirming, I'm great at what I do. I deserve the stage I'm on. I deserve to be successful. I'm going to achieve X, Y, Z, whatever those goals are you have for your career. And reaffirming those to yourself every single morning gets you to the point that you start to believe it. Gets you to the point that even if you don't believe it right away, you start to reinforce these good things about yourself. You start to reinforce these positive affirmations about you, who you are as a person, who you are as an athlete. And again, starts to take away that self-doubt and starts to build that supreme confidence you need in order to properly deal with those nerves that we all feel when it comes to competition. The final one as well, we've talked about meditation and we've talked about affirmations. One of the final ones as well is visualization. This is something I preach super hard. This is something that, again, I use myself quite a lot, but visualization, plain and simple, in the weeks leading up to any competition, spend some time every day visualizing your competition. Again, sit in a quiet space, keep your eyes closed, and just focus on how the competition is going to go. How the mat is going to feel under your feet, how the crowd is going to sound while you're walking out, how getting hit is going to feel, how hitting him or her is going to feel. Any adversity that you might have to battle through, how you're going to get through it, how you're going to actually win the fight. All of these little things, if you can spend time every day thinking about them, spend time every day really trying to feel every detail, now you're going to be able to put yourself in a situation where when you're in the fight and you're facing a little bit of adversity, you've been there 1,000 times before. When you're in the fight or when you're in the back and you start your walkout, you felt that walkout 1,000 times before. And as a result, it's not as nerve-wracking. You don't feel that same fear or the same nerves because even though it's in your mind, you've been there before, you've done this before, and you're ready to go through with it. So I hope this was valuable. That is it. That is all for me for today. I hope this was valuable. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, I would love to know what that was. Drop it in a comment if you're here right now. If you are listening back to this on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, anything else, make sure to leave a comment, make sure to leave a review, and then make sure to send me a message about it. I love hearing from you when you listen to the show and you get some value from it. I always appreciate those messages learning what it is that you guys are taking away so that in future episodes, I can speak more to those areas. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time. And if you have gotten value from the show, I ask one thing of you, and that is to share the show with a friend, share the show with a teammate, share the show with someone who needs to hear these messages. Because if you can do that, we can spread this message wider. And if you've tuned into the show before, as you know, my goal is to impact the lives and careers of millions of athletes around the world with this podcast. And we do that through you. We do that through word of mouth. We do that through people sharing the message with other people who need to hear it. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I appreciate you all, and I'm looking forward to coming back again tomorrow.